So I like this video right here. Look at this, man.
What is the perfect girl? The perfect woman? What does she look like? How does she act? These are the $1,000,000 questions that all us men ask ourselves at some point in time. But the reality is, for most of us, the perfect girl looks a little bit different for everybody.
That is true. That is true. We all have a certain type, and you really gotta find out one that like actually connects with you. A lot of, people say that you just go with somebody that looks like you, but then you see people that look like opposites. They just would not attract, and then regardless, they end up together and they make a wonderful couple.
Girl thick in all the right places. And some men like them real.
I don't know about all the right places on that one, but hold up, let me just go right back here. Let me just scroll right back. I don't know about all the right places. I could think of a few that it's not the thickness. No, that's just fat. The fat is not in the right place, but regardless, if that's your type.
Thin and fun in the right places. Some of y'all like girls that can cook and clean, and some of y'all like women that are just a little bit more athletic so you can gym with them, but still just feminine enough to call them your little baby. As men, we like what we like. Your perfect girl might look a lot different from mine. But if there's one thing I know for sure, there's a long list of things that most of us men universally hate in women. And more than likely, if she does...
Amen, dude. Amen. That is so true. Because, and this is gonna sound so wrong, but if you ask a group of girls to say, all right, do you like, which one out of this group of guys, which do you girls think is the most attractive? And most of the girls, they're gonna be like, okay, I want this one, but then some of them are gonna be like, I want that one. Or be like, no, I want this one. That one's the most handsome. But in reality, a lot of us guys just unanimously agree on who is the most pretty girl. Most of the time, we can all be like, okay, out of a group of 5 girls, if you ask any guy, they're gonna be like, that one's the most attractive, easily, by a mile. And that, that kind of sucks for girls because, they just kind of have like one thing, and they're just gonna be like, okay, that one's the most attractive, easily, call it raps. Which is kind of what I disagree with him on this one. Because when he said that people like this sort of girl, but that sort of girl, you can like them. You can absolutely like them. But majority, if you ask the majority of people who is the most attractive out of those, they're all gonna unanimously agree on who is the most pretty one. And that's just the way it is.
Does any of these things, we don't want nothing to do with her. So for my ladies, take your notebooks out. It's time to go to class. And for my fellas, I know a lot of y'all about to relate to this shit. Because this is 7 types of girls you should not date. Up first on the list, we got Mrs. Way Too Bougie. I ain't gonna lie, I can't stand a woman that's way too bougie, bro. This is the type of girl that's too good for anything, leaving us as the men never feeling good enough. You could take her to dinner and spend your whole goddamn paycheck trying to impress her on Valentine's Day, but she over here complaining because you didn't spend enough. It's her birthday and you just bought her a dozen roses, but she could care.
Oh, I hated that type, man. I hated it. And most of the time, here's the thing. I don't spend like any money, like at all. On most girls that I've dated, I spent 0 cash. Mostly out on just dates, but dates really rack up if you spend a lot of time dating them. And a lot of the girls, they're like, they would send me little Instagram reels, and it'd be of this girl that got an entire bouquet the size of her body, just this, of a goddamn bouquet of roses, and the bouquet on the center had $100 bills. And then she's like, look what I saw. Ain't that cute? No, it's not cute. I don't
care less because you didn't buy the brand of roses that's currently trending on TikTok. You see, there's virtually nothing you can do to impress this type of woman. The only reason she started dating your dumb ass in the first place is because she thought you were an of higher stature, or she probably thought you had a lot of money. They're only looking for.
Well, you see, a lot of these girls just, I'm definitely not the stature of having money. I am at the lowest. I mean, I think some kids have more money than me at this point, but you know, a lot of them, they just kind of have like a certain lifestyle that they want to like achieve and have. And when they have a guy on them, you know, they have their own man, they're like, well, why is he not helping me achieve this life that I want? And then, you know, they start putting all this weight on him and all of that. Not necessarily that they think that you have a lot of money because, well, duh, you know, most of us don't. But it's just that they lied themselves into believing it.
What they can gain financially and for higher status in life. That's the only thing this type of woman wants out of a relationship. Listen, my young kings, read the signs. Stay away from these type of women. Look, I think it's really important as a man that we do the best we possibly can for our women. But at the end of the day, you want a woman that appreciates you for your hard work and effort. I feel like that's fair. Regardless, next on the list we got Mrs. Too Insecure. The fact is, all human beings have insecurities in some way, shape, or form. But today we're talking about women with insecurities. And even though that's okay, but a woman that is too insecure, well, that's just a recipe for disaster, my boy. This is the type of woman who's gonna start a fight with you at dinner because you happen to look in the eyes of your... Go sit down. This is the type of woman that's gonna start a fight with you at dinner because you just so happen to look into the eyes of your waiter, who also just so happened.
He had me confused with the drawing here. He had me confused, man. Okay, no, this makes sense. Yeah, this is a type, definitely. I was wondering what he was going on about this, you know, because we all like a shy girl. What's that song? You don't know you're beautiful if only you saw what I see, man. That's like the best girl. We all want like a girl that's like beautiful but doesn't know it. You know, Miss Insecure is hot, man. That's like the best type of girl. But this is the wrong type of Mrs. Insecure. Never mind.
Why were you talking to our waiter? I saw the way you were looking at her. I knew you didn't even love me. Like what? I'm sorry I spoke to another female in your presence. Trying to order food for the both of us, by the way, that I'm paying for. Like, damn, cut a nigga slack.
That's actually, that is, a lot of people are like that. Because me, I worked in the food industry a lot. And, you know, when you're taking like the order of somebody, especially couples, like, I hated this. I hated this so much. I despised it to a point that, like, you know, you're attending to this couple, and then they think that by talking to you or anything of this sort, they think they're cheating. They think they're already cheating. Like, what are you talking about? I'm taking your goddamn order. Do you want it or not? And they just think that if they talk to you or make eye contact or anything of the sort, they think that they're cheating. You know, you would be taking the order. I'm like, what do you want here? And then the girl will whisper something to her man. Her man would be like, what? And then she'd be like, oh. And then she whispered loudly. I already heard what she said. She wants a goddamn medium or whatever the fuck. But then the guy's like, could I get a what? And then the girl will just blow up, and then she'll be like, I want a medium, and and now the guy will be like, oh, okay, she wants this, and also I want that. And you know, I heard it the first time. Why are we doing this roundabout little rigmarole, dude? Just look at me and then just tell me, just speak to me. I mean, say it rudely. I mean, at this point, I don't give a fuck. Just kind of say it. Just be like, all right, yeah, I want that, and then boom. Just go back to hiding behind your man. I despise that so much, man. So many times. And then for the girls, that happens so many times too. They don't get tipped at all because the guy thinks that if he tips and his girl sees that, he's gonna think that she is gonna think that he is flirting with her. I know that was so confusing, okay? I know that was kind of confusing because I worded it horribly, but a lot of people think like that. These poor girls just will not get a tip because the guy thinks that it'll be like flirting, and so they just put 0, and boom, they just leave, and everybody just suffers from that. If you are dating somebody and they are insecure to the point that you can't speak to anybody else or be pleasant to anybody else, and it's actively getting in your way, I mean, you really gotta break up, straight up.
This type of woman's always gonna make a problem out of everything. And these problems are always gonna stem from her insecurities, constantly comparing herself to others, seeking petty sympathy out of her partner. The only way you could truly satisfy a woman like this is if you walked around blindfolded everywhere with a t-shirt with her face on it, letting everybody know that she is your girlfriend at every waking moment. Trust me, boys, it ain't worth it. For third place, we got Mrs. Too Ratchet, or Too Ghetto, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. Now for this one, I do recognize, depending on the type of nigga you are and your background, you might actually like this. But I'm gonna go ahead and strongly assume that most men don't. Because in my experience, these women are over masculine and very aggressive. And I get it, trust me, girls can be tough too, that's fire. There isn't anything wrong with that. But a woman that's just too ratchet is universally a problem.
Yes, that is entirely true. I feel like we all have our own roles that we kind of fit into. That just sounds sexist as hell. That just sounds so problematic. I don't care, never mind. We all have our own roles. You know, at times when you see like a guy is too soft, even in a relationship, and he's not doing it right. Like he doesn't stand up for his girl when she's saying something and he's just kind of there. And you're left there like, dude, come on. What are you doing? Speak up. Kind of back up your girl on this, you know. You see that a lot of the times. A lot of the people just kind of, they're not fitting into their role in the relationship. And there's a lot of things that are unspoken about in a relationship. You never kind of say some things. You never say them, but you assume them. And you know, you may be saying, whoa, assuming makes an ass out of you and me, but no, I feel like we all assume the role we're in. You know, like if you go with a girl, you assume you're gonna be paying for her. If you know, you guys are you're already on your third date and you guys, you know, you get kind of intimate, you're kind of close and you're both quieting down, you assume you're gonna go kiss her. You know, if you walk her home, you know, you assume you're getting a goodbye, something of the sort. You can hope for a kiss or something, but no. You can assume a goodbye. You can assume all of these things. If you're with somebody, hopefully you're assuming that you can't cheat on them. You know, because a lot of people are like that. They're like, oh, what? You tell me I can't text all these girls as I'm with you? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? You know, one would assume you can't do all of that stuff once you're taken. So no, there's a lot of assuming, and there's a lot of things that we all fit into. You know, it's kind of our role. So, you know, when you find these people that are, you know, too masculine or too ghetto or anything of this sort, they are actively going against their role. And therefore, you can't assume things safely. It takes out the security. It takes out the love, man. It takes out the love.
Let me explain. I personally don't like going to clubs. That's not really an activity that I partake in, at least not willingly. But one night, one of my homies was able to convince me to come with him to experience it for the first time. And I'm a firm believer that experience is important in life, so I agreed. I could give you the scope of that full experience on another video, but as we were waiting in line to get inside this club, there was this huge 6'10" Hulk looking nigga. I'm talking monsters, bruh. Buddy was pushing through the line to get to the front, and I'm not gonna lie, he wasn't being polite about it. He was damn near shoving niggas to get the way for real. But me personally, I'm not about to fight somebody over that shit. I don't know him and I don't know his situation. So a nigga happened to brush shoulders with me, just a little bit more aggressive than I'd like. It's not that big of a deal. Call it what you want, but it ain't that deep. I got a life to live and I got goals to achieve. I wasn't about to get my skull crushed in over a club night that I damn near didn't even want to be at in the first place. So I need you to believe how perplexed I was when I saw this couple in front of me that happened to get shoved by this guy when he was pushing through the line. And when I tell you this nigga girl, bruh, just started yelling, "Oh hell nah, you not about to cut us in line, you ugly gorilla ass nigga." Bruh. Her boyfriend's face was full of shut the fuck up. Please. I could just tell that this wasn't the first sticky situation that his girl has put him in because she had a loud mouth. Always trying to start problems and shit with people. Problems that he, as the man, now has to deal with. Yeah, I watched that nigga get his ass beat that night because his loudmouth girlfriend couldn't contain herself. I really could go on the ratchet girl for days because, bruh, I just think it's funny how these type of people, they pick fights with people and make things such a big deal over and over and over again. It seems to be like a pattern in their personality, right? But when it comes down to it, the boyfriend is always the one that has to pick up the slack on a fight that they started. As a man, you're supposed to protect your woman. That's a fact. But your woman also shouldn't be putting you in positions to be fucked up all the time. Like, at that point, that's kind of a burden. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, Ghetto bitches, that's a no-go for me, man.
Okay, no, he's entirely right about this one because I used to date this girl, right? And let me show you something. Right? A lot of people think that I just kind of do that. They think that I just kind of put a slit on me and I, cause I'm gay or something. I don't know, man. Whatever. And as you can tell, it's not fully slitted out. And I don't have it on the other end or anything of the sort. That's not a slit. That's a straight up scar. That is just on there forever. My face is all sorts of messed up. I have a bunch of scars. And my nose is not naturally shaped like this. That just got busted up. So I've had my fair share of sorts. I've had the inside of my mouth just opened up, especially all the braces. Of course, if you've ever been punched, the mouth, when you have braces, it opens up your entire inside of your mouth and you start just spitting out so much red fluid, man. But where's all of this leading to? I used to date this girl that was just like that. She used to be very very attractive, okay, right? But she would know it. That's a separate thing. She was attractive and she knew it. So she would get a lot of attention from guys because she would kind of dress a certain way. And what was I thinking? Well, I was young. I mean, it is what it is, man. I feel like every guy kind of chases after something like that, but then once you have it, you realize that it's such a pain to keep that girl in your grasp, and then you're like, hey man, just there you go, whatever. You can run off now. I used to have a girl that was just like that, and she would get hit on like every day. Every single day, man. We would be hanging out. I would just be laying down on her bed, just I don't know, doing some homework or something, and then she would just be like, oh, look at this, babe. Look. Imagine this is a phone, right? It should be like, look, and it'd be a dude that just messaged her, and then he's like, who's your man? Leave him. Come be with me, mamas, please. And and you see that a lot of the time. You see that that a lot of people would just kind of hit on the most attractive of girls, and you're left. I was left there like, well, all right, high five. That's cool. Did you block him? Why are you letting me know of this? And she's like, no, don't you want his contact info so that you can tell him that I'm taken by you? What are you talking about? I don't want to do that. Just block him. The hell do I care? Just do that. But she'd be so insistent about it. She'd be like, no, you have to let them know that you own me. You have to let them know. Like, what are you doing? Why are you not being possessive? Dude, here's the thing. With some of these girls that they just get you into fights, you just gotta leave them. I mean, at a certain point, once you get all heated up, and you're just like, you're going ham on somebody's face, after they just disfigured your face, but now you won at the end of it all, and you're just left there on top of them, and you're like, this all sprouted from her being stupid. This was all it is. I mean, here I am disfiguring this guy's poor face, and my face got a bit disfigured, all because of that, and you realize it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. I mean, some of the I don't know what sprouted this in some of these girls for them to be like, I kind of just want to cause problems for the man I love. The face that I love kissing, I want that thing messed up. I want it to be bruised up and bleeding. I don't know why they like that. I really don't understand. But, regardless, you really got to break up with these girls.
Now in fourth place, we got the girl who only has a big mouth in front of the homies. Now before we dive too deep on that, as a man, you gotta know how to man up and take a joke. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a girl that has some personality that decides to make fun of you in front of your friends. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I actually think that's a pretty healthy characteristic you want to have in your woman. You want to be able to enjoy her company, especially around your friends and shit.
I'm gonna kind of have to disagree a bit. I don't think he refers to it as the extent that I'm kind of taking it as. But if your girl is making fun of you in front of people, what are you talking about? You may say that it's healthy. Oh, what, you're not confident enough? You're not brave enough to like take it? Why not? What if I did that to her? What, I'm gonna put her down and be like, you have no boobs. How is that any funny at all? What if she's just making fun of you? She'd be like, oh, like that? Like, how do you don't make any money? Like your job? Like, why would you put down your own partner? I don't understand. Especially in front of other people. You know, if you're in private and, you know, you're just kind of like wincing about, you're like, you know, let's say that your girl is on top of you, right? And you're like, your boobs are uneven. One is bigger than the other one. That's funny. That's funny. She's gonna get a bit mad. And, you know, she's gonna like start smacking you around. Whatever, you know, but that's cute and that's okay. In front of other people, though, like, what am I gonna be like? Oh, no, you can't do that because, you know, you're all deformed. No, people are just gonna start seeing that. So especially in front of other people, I'm gonna have to disagree here.
Like a girl with no personality and humor, that's boring. Who wants that? Like I had this one girl I was dating that would always crack the same joke in front of my friends, bro. I hated that joke.
No, I
always say I look like
I could have come
Sid
up with a better
from
one,
Ice
dude.
Age.
I could have come up with a way better one.
I hate when people say that. The reason I hate it is because people say it so much. Apparently it's true. I don't see the resemblance, but it is what it is, I guess. So anytime she said that shit in front of people, people would laugh, and it was a good time. There's no harm in that. Even though it kind of like poked fun at me a little bit, I think that's cool. I'm never gonna be mad at my girl poking fun at me, or anyone at that matter. Like, niggas need to know how to take a joke. But what is absolutely unacceptable is a woman that always makes it her life mission to disrespect you in front of your peers. Why does she feel the need to air out all your personal business in front of the homies? That ain't cool. Because when y'all alone, she's always super nice, super cuddly, talking about how you're her rock and all that goo goo gaga bullshit. But when your homeboys pull up, she talking about, Berto told me he don't even like you niggas. He talk shit about y'all all day. Whoa, 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 whoa. First off, that ain't what I said. But if I have a personal issue with one of my homies and I come home to vent to you, my woman, my supposed left hand and rock, and tell you some shit in confidence because you're my girlfriend, I don't expect you to blow the spot up when I'm hanging with my boys. Or even worse, this is the type of girl that's gonna start just saying absolute lies. Like bullshit trying to be funny in front of people. But there's a difference between funny and disrespect. Talking about, oh, this nigga, he ain't shit. His pee small and his stroke game weak. And he sucks my toes. And I spend all his money. And he won't do shit about it because he kind of be acting like a shit for real. I get you trying to put on a show for the boys right now, but you're really just making yourself look bad. And now nobody likes you. Because all you doing is capping your ass off. Now in 5th place, we got one that's kind of two-sided again, depending on the type of guy you are. But in my opinion, I don't think it's good to date a girl that's too damn horny. Like me personally, I'm always down for
I think it's time for my second disagreement with this guy. I really want to see where this is going.
Time, that's cool. Especially if it's with your significant other. But when it starts to get a little bit like, everywhere, anywhere, that's all they think about 24/7, and they applying pressure. You shopping in the middle of Target. She trying to go crazy. You having a family dinner with her parents for the first time. She trying to go crazy in the bathroom. You stuck in traffic on the freeway? Fuck it, the cars ain't moving anyway.
Oh,
you at church in the middle of a Sunday service.
That's a great idea. You know, we're bored in traffic. I don't see how that one's wrong.
Stop, pick up the Bible, pray, and ask for forgiveness. Look, man, in all seriousness, this one on the list, it's not that big of a deal, right? There are definitely worse things. But I really do think it's pretty annoying when a woman is only driven by sex. Like, she don't got no substance to her, you know what I'm saying? Outside of getting nasty, what value does she provide? You could barely hold a straight conversation with her without her trying to unbuckle your pants. Me personally, I want a woman that also has a good head on her shoulders. No pun intended.
But having that type of head is also good.
6th place, the pathological liar. This one doesn't need that much explaining. Nobody likes a liar. And if you're dating a woman that lies about everything, I'm talking about she lies about shit that don't even matter, bro. Like, why are you lying? Hey babe, I'm just gonna run out and go to the grocery store. I just need to get some stuff. Oh yeah, for sure, just be safe. But instead she snuck off to the mall to go shopping. Like, why did you lie? I don't understand what the point of lying is. If you want to go shopping, just go shopping. I do realize that some niggas are just lame as fuck. They're control freaks which ultimately leads to women lying about everything. But me personally, I don't give a fuck what my girl wants to do. Do what you want to do, love. Just keep it real with me so I can do the same. Because there's nothing worse than being in a relationship that you can't even trust with the little things. Like, it's almost better to know that my girl is a cheating bitch. Because if that's her truth, at least you know, nigga. It ain't no surprise.
Okay. I don't know about all that. I don't know about it to that extent, but I mean, I suppose, I guess. I never really thought about it to that extent because I never really dated somebody that is a liar, or at least this bad of a liar. I think that's just an exclusive to this one. I just can't speak on that one, man. You know, most of the time, whenever a girl, they just kind of tell me something, I feel like they're very open most of the time. You know, I feel like I tend to have that personality that where they just kind of want to share stuff, and the girls that don't want to share stuff are not really attracted to me at all. Which, I mean, okay, whatever. That's okay. Why would I want to attract liars?
But when she just a lying motherfucker, there's not much you can do because you don't even know. So if you're dating somebody that just be lying for no reason, I'm talking white lies left and right, like it's uncontrollable, it ain't worth it, bro. Leave her. Number 7, last but not least, arguably the worst on this list. Because if you're subject to this type of woman, you honestly need to look in the mirror and figure out what is going on in your life. I'm talking about Mrs. Control Freak. She's a no-go, my boy. Now, before I start bashing Mrs. Control Freak, I'm not on that red pill, blue pill bullshit. I don't put myself in a box and submit my life to shit like that. I live my life on what I think is important based off experiences that I've had and experience and things that I've learned from other people. Male figures that I look up to in my life. I think way too many people get too caught up in the red pill, blue pill bullshit, because if you're a nigga with a brain, you understand that you can agree with some of the things that somebody says and disagree with other parts of what somebody says. You don't need to pick a side indefinitely. I don't know why everybody wants shit to be so black and white.
Why my boy's talking about politics right now, but regardless, dude, yes, a controlling one is the absolute worst. It just absolutely is. I don't understand how some of these men do it. Let me give you an example. Let me give you a great example right now. So, used to be this guy, handsome dude. You know, I'm just imagine me, but better. Absolutely, just a scrumptious man. And he used to be smart, he used to be funny, he used to be all of these things. And his girl was none of them. She is none of them. She was ugly beyond relief. Beyond belief. She used to be so bad looking. And her personality reflected it. I live by this statement. If you're ugly on the outside, you're ugly on the inside, man. Unless it's genetically or anything of the sort, that's just the way it is, man. I mean, and especially if you're in middle school, I mean, a lot of people, we're all ugly in middle school. That's just what it is. All right, but side note, she was just ugly and ugly on the inside, and she fucking blew, dude. Everybody hated her. Whenever we would go to like a function or something, we'd go to a bar, we'd go to anything of the sort, she would just go with him, and we'd all be like, oh, here she comes. And you know, and he knew it because here's the thing, we'd all be vocal about it, but she would just be so controlling of him. She'd dress him, she would tell him when, like, what to do, she would tell him like what to wear, all of these things. I just said the same thing twice. She would tell him what to say, she would tell him what to dress, she would tell him how to do his hair, she would tell him that she had to be picked up from this place, and he'd be like, oh, hold up, I'm with my friends, and she'd just hang up. And he'd be like, all right, I guess I have to go. Sorry, guys. Just like that. And, you know, this would be just a terrible woman that you have to stay away from, right? But in reality, the one that pissed me off the most would be the guy. I hate to say it. You know, as much as we love demonizing these girls or whatever the hell, I blame the guy fully for staying with that girl. Because that girl ruined him. That there are some women that ruin you, and you know, a bunch in this list, like the girl that The overly masculine girl that seeks out problems, that girl ruins you. This one, the controlling one, that girl ruins you even more. Because you know what happens inside their mind? I'll tell you what happened to him. What happens in their mind is that they have to control you to the point where you can't leave them, right? And what do you do? What do you do if you have nothing to offer? What if you do if you're ugly, all his friends hate you, and you're not really a good person, and you have no money? How do you control someone to never leave you? Emotional manipulation, baby. That's how you do it. Emotional dependence, emotional, it's a masterpiece. I really gotta shake her hand for doing what she did to this guy. But that was a masterpiece of work. This girl was pure evil. He became fat and ugly right after dating her. She was working him. Because at first he was fit. That's the thing. He would always go to the gym. He would be fit, he would be handsome, and he'd always take care of himself. But on this side, I mean, at a certain point, you really gotta realize that some of these women are just downright evil. They're just downright evil, and she like intentionally made him worse. She made him worse step by step, toward the point where he looked at himself in the mirror and then he saw that, well, now I can't leave her. Because who would want me in this state? She kept him so busy. She kept moving him away from all the stuff that gave him value. His friends, his job, his physique. She pulled him away from all of that slowly, and then he lost all of that. And now she had full control of him. She isolated him to the point where he had no out. He had no outside help from anything. And she just controlled him fully. And now, now he was alone. Now he had, he didn't even have the body anymore. He didn't have the looks. He didn't have nothing because this girl controlled him to the point where he couldn't have anything else. She was so time dependent. She kept calling him to pull him away from the gym. Mid gym session, she pulled him away. Mid friend session, she would pull him away. She would start calling him, freaking out. She'd be like, something happened with my parents and I'm crying and please, I need you to come. Why are you not here? And he would feel terrible that he's not there for his girl, so he has to go. And it feels good as a man to have somebody depend on you so much. It feels good. I know it kind of sucks and it sounds evil to say that, but as a guy, it feels so good to have somebody like they depend on you. It feels good. It feels like you have a place in the world, and especially if you're a young man and a girl realizes that she can give you that, and she exploits it. That is pure evil, man. It's pure evil, and that is why I agree that the controlling girl is the absolute worst type of girl. She absolutely is. I abhor these types of girls. I despise them so. And, well, they despise me because, who is the first that girl tried to cut out from his life? Me, baby. Me, because I keep it real. 100%. Who would always point it out in all of the sessions? Every time we would go hang out and I'd be like, oh, you look at her. She's right with you. Talking shit about all of us here. Look at her. I see her. She's doing it right now. She can't get away with that type of stuff when that guy has a friend that keeps it so real with him. And that is why they have to isolate them, That is why I agree with this. I disagree with two of his points here. We all know which ones. But I completely agree with the seventh girl being the absolute worst. Some of these girls kind of ruin your life. And, they just isolate you and just make you a terrible person. A lot of people can say whatever the hell they want, but the reality is your partner can absolutely make or break your life.